Hi, folks. It's Rebecca here from Rebecca's Retro. Back with a rather unusual message. I'm not going to talk about particular items that I sell, but to talk about a new policy that Etsy has put in place, that it's trying to force all sellers to provide free shipping. This is a particularly difficult policy for those of us who sell vintage because our items are of all different sizes and weights, and it isn't that we sell a lot of the same item like a lot of crafters do. So it's difficult to come up with a kind of common amount that we might charge for shipping. Also, when I live on the East Coast, and a lot of my buyers are west of the Mississippi River, and I hate to tell you how much more the shipping costs when it crosses that line. It is just amazing. Now, what Etsy is telling us to do is to roll those shipping costs into the price of the item. But that's kind of hard to do because it isn't that vintage shoppers want to pay a huge amount more for what we're selling. And also, I just think it's really unfair that I would increase the price to help make up for what shoppers in the Western United States, what it would cost me to ship to them, that people in the eastern part of the United States would have to pay that much extra when their shipping would be really quite a bit lower. Now, vice versa, I'm sure people in California are saying the same thing. Well, you should see what happens when I ship it to the East Coast. And I'm not even talking about what it's like to ship to Alaska or Hawaii. Those are really high. And if I have to eat those costs, I'll simply say I don't sell to those two states, which makes me very sad because those are friends, those are fellow Americans, those are dear ones who are living in some areas of our country that are far away. So what are we going to do? I don't know. What Etsy says, if we don't add free shipping, that our posts will not show up. They'll give preference to those shops that do sell with no shipping costs, and ours will fall to the bottom of the heap. Now, I'm not one who obsesses over search engine optimization and things like that. So who knows? My stuff may already be falling to the bottom of the heap, and you can't go any lower than the bottom. But I have had some pretty good months lately, and it makes me sad to think that that's going to change. Now, I'm not a seller who is depending on this money for my living or even to really supplement my living. If you look at Rebecca's Retro, you will see that the profits from my store go to a particular charity every year. This year, my charity is New Hope Ministries here in Dillsburg, my hometown. New Hope is a wonderful ministry that serves families that are facing economic hardship. And these days, there are a lot of those. And I feel sad that some of the profit that would have gone to New Hope would now go to provide somebody with free shipping who could afford to pay that shipping. And so the truth of the matter is, I'm not going to do it. Right now, I do provide free shipping on things that I know I can send first class, because they're even sending it cross country. It's about the most would be maybe $3.60 or something like that. So I just eat that amount and hope that I cover my costs. But on bigger items, I mean, some of these things cost as much as $18 or $24 to mail. And if I have to absorb that, that's a huge amount of my profit that is going toward that shipping. And that's money that won't go to New Hope. And that I'm just not going to do it. So I am hoping that other vintage shoppers will stand up and say, nope, we're not going to do it. Because vintage sellers, if we would all hang together, we could fight back at Etsy. I know we're the smaller part of their selling group, but there are a lot of us. And if we would just stand together and say, no, 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 I'm not going to roll these costs into what I'm charging my buyers. I try to be very careful. I refund any overage of postage that was charged to somebody if it's more than $2. So I am trying to be very scrupulous. And so I don't want to roll that into the cost and pretend like it's free shipping when it really isn't. The person's just simply paying more. So it's either cut back on my profit and cut back on what I have to give to Brethren Housing, or give in to Etsy. So I'm going to give it a shot and see what happens between now and the end of the calendar year. Usually my months of September through December are really good. August is usually kind of low anyway, so I don't think that'll be a good test. I think this new policy of Etsy's goes into effect July 30. So I won't judge anything by what happens in August, but I will be watching closely to see what happens in August through December. So thank you for listening. And if you are a shopper, remember that there is no free lunch. There is no free postage. Somebody is going to be paying for it, and that somebody is going to be partially you in a higher cost of that item that you're purchasing. It also means that the seller who's done the hard work of going out and finding the item, posting it in the store, sometimes holding it for 2 years or more and continuing to pay that quarterly listing fee that Etsy requires. All of that goes into what it takes to get that item to you. So buyers, please stand with us as well. Say, we don't go to Etsy because we expect it to be a big box store. We go to Etsy because we know we'll be treated fairly. We know we can develop a personal relationship with the seller, and this is a site that you can really trust. So thank you for listening, and I hope somebody out there at Etsy is also listening. And I know there's a lot of screaming going on, but I think we also need to stand together. So thank you, and please keep looking at Rebecca's Reto, because the good people at Brethren or at New Hope Ministries are really counting on your support. Thank you. Bye.